Good evening. A couple of announcements before we get on to our next tune. One thing I did want to remind you guys is we're going to be celebrating all of our students this Saturday at our band gala, 6 p.m. in the Williams Center, followed by a nice light meal, epic party dance. You can see my dad moves on the dance floor. It's a great time. Attire is formal, Sunday best. And we look forward to recognizing these guys for all their hard work and achievement throughout the school year. So get to celebrate those guys. And then also coming up, spring band camp. For those of you who have been in the program, which that's everybody, the brass camp was something that we did at the end of the year. Now we're including our woodwinds in that, so it's almost like a prep for what's to come in the summer. So that's next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, from 5 to 7. And so that'll be a great time. We're going to pass out show music and pretty much get the season officially started with Your Brain on Art. So I'm super excited, looking forward to that. Up next, we have a pretty interesting piece, Homage to Bharat, Celebrations of India by Brian Balmages. It is a mix of traditional folk, Indian folk melodies with some like newer Bollywood themes. The music's infectious, it's rhythmic, and really, just to point this out for all three pieces, I picked it with our senior class in mind. This is my senior year 2 here, my 4th year with the program, and these guys have been nothing but epic. And I really wanted to make sure that they really went out with a bang. So all 3 of these tunes have really nice, big, epic endings to them. And so that's kind of why we went with the selections we went with. So I think that's enough of a face break. Percussion's ready to go. Beautiful. Without further ado, this is Homage to Bharat. everybody likes to play loud on the spring concert, so just kind of go for it. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize some exceptional young men and women in our ensemble who have devoted 4 years of countless hours of hard work, sacrifices both from them and from you, the families, as well. And I'd like to recognize our seniors in the wind ensemble this year. So when I stand, newborn thing, when I call your name, please stand. And we're going to hold our applause to the no popularity contest tonight. Braden Baskin, Petit, Ormini, I know I butchered it. Josh Munoz, Grayson Perry, Rome Randall, Sydney Younger, Haley Wilson. Ooh, this is a hard list to read. I miss these guys. Takumi Yasueda and Gerardo Zaragoza. Let's give these guys a round of applause. First senior class I've ever seen to the WEHS. It's going to be a tough Saturday. So before we conclude our portion of tonight's concert, wanted to just briefly touch on the program notes from our last tune this evening, Halcyon Hearts by Kataj Copley. He writes, the effect of love on humanity is abundant. And I think we often forget that from time to time. Regardless of race, gender, religion, or indifference, we are all united by a common thread: passion and love. Centered around the warmth that love brings, Halcyon Hearts takes us on an unexpected journey to find love. Now, while this love may result to be romantic for some, to me, to the composer and myself, it's about the moment someone finds their passion. Using colors, natural energy, and passion, he created a sound of ambition for the ensemble. And that's what I want for our seniors. They're all going out into the world, trying to find the thing that's personal and important to them. And I just want to let them know that they're always my kid. Even when they graduate, they're still mine, and they're always welcome home. It goes for any of these guys. And so this piece was selected because of them and how much we're going to miss them. So without further ado, presenting for the last time, the WEHS Wind Ensemble, performing Halcyon Hearts by Kataj Copley.
Really quick, there's one more senior. Miss Morgan McCrae, raise your hand. Morgan!